All right, guys, welcome back to the Off Court Podcast. This is episode 9. This is the paddle podcast covering all your paddle needs. We are your hosts, Connor and Hugh. Welcome back. All right, today we're diving into the Cancun P2, another back-to-back tournament without the top 100 male players.
I know.
We'll get into the whole tiny updates on the boycott because we've been talking way too much about it, giving it power to negative energy. We don't want that either.
True.
Excluding one pairing, of course. You guys probably all know.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Exactly, yeah. And we'll end with our predictions and our excitement about the second P1 of the year,
Yes.
Miami.
Finally. All the guys are back as well. Everyone's registered and locked in, ready to go. All the boys.
Exactly.
And
contractually obligated.
Yes. Premier Padel gun pointing in their faces a little bit.
Yeah.
But
before we get into that, let's just do a little quick catch-up, little icebreaker. How are you, Connor? Tell the people.
Still tragic story, guys. I'm going on my 6th week.
You got a haircut, by the way.
Oh yeah, for anyone
he's looking fresh.
that cares out there. Yeah. Maybe some of the closer friends to me. It's like been 5 years. You might not notice me.
Looks like a different man.
I know. I'm feeling like it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Besides that, I think just after not playing paddle for so long, I'm just going a bit nuts, and I was like, I've got to do something drastic and crazy, and I just kind of cut all my hair off. So it feels good, and I'm ready to get back on the paddle court soon. Hopefully, a couple more weeks. Otherwise, I'm going to go even more crazy. I don't know. The levels of delusion are insane, especially after watching X amount of hours of paddle on the TV. It's just like, I'm there sat on my couch with like a racket in my hand practicing like my bandejas, and I'm just like
talking to yourself.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, literally, dude. I have like Juan Lebrón on my shoulder and like Chingato on my other one, and I'm just like going
talking to your partner.
Yeah, dude.
They're pushing lob.
Yes,
lob.
Yes, it does. And you yourself? How's everything?
I'm all good. Been playing a bit of paddle, but nothing. No major news on that front either.
You had a bit of beef on the court, but you don't have to go too into that.
I had a bit of beef on the court the other day, but it's fine. It happens.
Does that happen to any of you guys as well? You get matched up with a certain player on Playtomic, and the vibes are just off. Is that a universal experience?
I mean, and this is like, we're talking about the lowest level of paddle there is. It's like super amateur. You play to have fun, basically. It is nice to have some competitiveness to it because, it makes it exciting. But yeah, sometimes you come across people that are just maybe a bit too much.
What's the word? Calma? Chill?
Calma, yeah. It's just like, dude, relax.
Bro, take a chill pill. It's not
like
here.
It's like a Tuesday midday.
This ain't a FIP Gold tournament.
Exactly,
Yeah, all right. But it happens. And if you guys have any fun stories like that, please share them with us. We're always interested. Maybe we'll do that as a future segment. I don't know.
Let us know in the comments. Yeah.
Horror Playtomic stories. But yeah, that's all part of it. But you know what? I'm excited to get into, this episode.
Let's dive right in. Yeah.
P2 tournament. A lot of the big names are still missing, which is, I think, we're getting used to a little bit. But, around the corner is Miami, and we have something to look forward to. We did mention that, a certain Lebrón and Stupa were playing in this tournament, which I think is the big headline of this. So we kind of just wanted to get straight into it, huh?
I think if for anyone that doesn't know, we'll just give like a little tiny quick recap. The whole boycott thing happened. Basically, Stupa and LeBron, especially Stupa, he publicly said that he was advised legally by his lawyers to stop the boycott and that he should play Cancun if he didn't want to have economic and legal repercussions.
Yes.
That's why they signed up. There was a bit of, some people and players were saying like, well, we kind of lost two of the biggest faces of this sport who were like keeping this boycott together, their strength in numbers, and now they've sort of
they're ranked number 3 pairing. So like in terms of this, the momentum and the core message behind the boycott is that they probably should have stuck with the guys.
And also like this is the number 3 seeds in the world getting into a tournament where the closest thing they have is to their level is Tolito and Gonza. We saw in the final, we'll talk about it now, but it's like the way they breezed through the entire tournament. Like, is that just unfair and it just leaves them?
I mean, what they didn't lose their image. They didn't lose one set the whole tournament.
I think they maybe in total they lost like a total of they played 4 games.
Yeah,
they lost it in 4 games. They lost a total of like maybe 10 games.
Yeah.
So in a total of 4 matches, they lost like 10 games in total. The closest they got to anything was Tolito and Gonza in one set that they lost 3-6.
Yeah, and that's it.
That's
I
it.
think another great stat to look at is like how long each set was. It was insane. Like
16. I think the whole final was 53 minutes.
yeah, which is absolutely nuts.
The first set was
23 minutes, I think. And I even saw some earlier of their earlier games. They finished the second set. They all won their, obviously. They didn't lose a set, so they won each of their games in 2, right?
Yeah.
Their second set winner lasted 16 minutes long, guys. Like, to me, that's just...
They were 5-0 in the first set within a quarter of an hour.
Yeah, which is... It just shows the advantage here a little bit. And maybe just because they're on a whole other level, what I mean? Like, that really shows.
Exactly. This is actually what I wanted to ask you. What we wanted to talk about is what's your vision? What's your opinion? Like, because to me, it was... Like, I expected it, but it's shocking to see it happen.
It didn't... Yeah.
What's the... Like, how much better are the elite players to the top players in the world? Even though if you're 100 or you're 79th in the world, that's still a massive accomplishment, and you're still better than 99.9% of paddle players in the world. But once you're top 10 players in the world, like how did you see that?
Well, it was just, I don't know, it was kind of clear in our faces, really, that it felt like, it's like you made your opponents play with their wrong hand, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fair to say to all of the people that went up against Lebrón and Stupa, but it was just too easy. I think that kind of just genuinely tackles the entertainment value here at the end of the day. Like, there's something fun, and maybe it just feels a little bit naughty at the beginning. Be like, oh shit, like Lebrón and Stupa are going to go to this tournament where they're going to be playing people that are below the top 100 ranking, right? And it sounds fun on paper, I think, maybe just from an entertainment point of view. But really, when you're watching these games, it's I think, in my opinion, it's just super lame, and it leaves a sour taste in my mouth, honestly, dude. Like, and to go and see them, win the finals and stand there with their medal shields and trophies and stuff like that.
If I was them, I'd be a bit like...
I'd be embarrassed.
I'd be like, cool, yeah. We just won like 600 points.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other thing, though, right? And I know there's some like speculation or people wanting to retract. I think it's from the player base that...
From the player side of things, they want Gijón and Cancun to not count in the 2025 ranking.
So it's kind of like, I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but it is kind of incredible now. It's kind of changing the sort of, these stats are kind of part of the history of paddle, if you think about it, right? Once you start messing around with the stats a little bit, these players are jumping up like crazy amounts of points. It's, you have to kind of be a little bit like pure-minded about it, right? And I guess the easy solution would be to remove those points, but you can't really do that.
It just goes to show how young this sport is, and how these things, players going up 80 positions in one tournament, just never happens in
which is huge,
which is massive. Never happens in tennis, football, like any of these like well-established sports. It just goes to show how paddle is still growing a lot, and we're here for it. We're trying to be part of that journey of the growth of the sport, but it kind of informs where paddle is at in terms of its history. It's still a baby, it's still very young.
I don't know. Also, maybe Lebrón and Stupa saw this as the only opportunity to win a tournament this year. I
mean, they got to the Riyadh final, and they are playing really well.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever, regardless of the games they're having to play, because of they're not playing against Chingalan, Coyotapia, Coquillanguas, whatever. So it is a very different style of game.
Yeah.
But they're merging well, I think, in between their play styles. I feel like they get along.
I get a bit nervous sometimes. I think at the end of the day, it's like they're professionals, right? But just knowing their personality traits, especially LeBron. There was one moment in the finals where Stupa just came way too over LeBron's side of the court. And, I don't know if those are things where maybe you should address them like after the game necessarily. Or, sometimes you just have to be like, that was my fucking ball.
Yeah.
Like, leave it next time. Chill, bro. And I don't know how that plays out over time when you get reminded like that. You know what I mean? And it's just like...
You know what? It was also very interesting to see, now that you mentioned this, how obviously, as we said, they breezed through the entire tournament. But even at some points... they were up in the final or semis. They were up like 4-love in the second set, whatever. It was in the bag already.
Yeah.
They knew it from the beginning. But like maybe LeBron did like a short lob or missed an easy shot. How like sort of angry at himself and at the situation he got and how demanding he was of himself, which is interesting to see, being like, dude, relax. You're winning this easy. But however, it just goes to show how competitive this guy is.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's also, like I guess he's just like a professional as well. And as we know, absolute perfectionist.
Yes.
Being LeBron, even Stupa, they punished themselves for making easy mistakes, even though they were winning super easily. I think it's because they're like, well, yeah, this is fine here. But as soon as I'm up against, like Coelho and Tapia, like this isn't going to fly. So we have the chance to sort of take this as like a training ground, a training camp. This isn't like...
They're just warming up for Miami,
exactly, but it was interesting to see how demanding they were of themselves, even in those situations.
I mean, do you think that kind of kicks in a little bit? These guys are pros, their mental game's just probably insane, but that level of pressure that comes from like, what's the headline going to look like if we lose this game right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they already kind of look like clowns going into this tournament. And if they didn't come out with a dub,
if they hadn't won this, if they'd lost against, I don't know,
Tolito,
Cabeza Garcia or Tolito and Gonza,
that would have been hilarious, I'll be honest. Like,
that would have been bad. That would have been really bad. But no, we saw that they just absolutely demolished any chance that anyone had of anything super easily as well. Didn't even break a sweat.
And sort of going on to like, the game that was probably the most competitive that LeBron and Stupa had was the final, right? Against Tolito and
which
Gonza.
wasn't even, as we said, wasn't even that big of a deal, but within the circumstances, yes.
I think on paper as well, that's like a great matchup that, a lot of people wanted to see that match. I saw some people wanted to see Tolito and Gonza go up against Cabeza and I've got his team, Garcia. But obviously, those guys got knocked out a little bit early on, right? By
Vasquez and
Vasquez.
We need to talk about...
We'll talk about the Swedes. We have a small shout out for them because those guys were awesome to see. But, let's talk about Tolito and Gonza in the final a little bit and how did that play out? Dude. Like,
I mean, look, Tolito and Gonza are incredible players. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
They are. They dominated A1 last season. Now they're making their transition into Premier Padel. I'm not saying that they're bad at all. They're incredible players. We love a bit of magic. I mean, Gonza had this special moment where I was like, that was actually...
Was this the point at the beginning of the second set?
At the semis, With,
if I can flash it up, I'll pull it and flash it up for you guys.
I think Gonza smashes. Axelsen gets like a touch on it.
Exactly.
It touches the net, bounces, and then Gonza just gets there last second and just like with a flick of the wrist kind of...
Finesses it
over. They are incredible.
Yeah,
but
super entertaining.
But these guys, the main headline going into 2025 was like the kings of A1 are going into Premier Padel. What will that look like? They did go up against Lebrón and Stupa, who aren't they within Premier Padel, within the top seeds, top players in the world. They are top of the top. I mean, they're third best pair in the world, which is like massive, So if Tolito and Gonza went up against top pairings, but maybe not number 3, number 10, number 12, whatever, it would still be very difficult and more competitive, but maybe they'd have a bit more of a chance. However, though, I mean, they got absolutely destroyed, in my opinion. Like there was no chance at all whatsoever. Even when they got the first set, they were up 5, they were down 5 games. And then just Lebrón and Stupa basically sort of lost focus, and that's why they won 2 games and it ended 6-2. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, what do the stats look like? Do you want to run through the stats
I mean,
a little
the
bit
stats,
as well?
if we look at them here, we're looking at 30 smashes from Lebrón and Stupa versus 17.
Okay.
Aguirre and Alfonso.
Yeah, that's
and then
double.
I mean, look at this.
What's the juicy one?
41 winners
for Stupa
Stupa Lebron. 23 for Aguirre Alfonso, and then 8 unforced errors for Stupa Lebron, 15 for Aguirre Alfonso. That's not that massive difference, still a bit. But
what about breakpoints?
I mean, look at the winners. Breakpoints, we're looking at, so the first set, Aguirre and Alfonso, as I said, I think loss of focus by the number 3 seeds. They got 1 out of 1. And then 4 out of 8 for Stupa.
Okay. So there you go. I mean, it's always the break points
41
as well.
winners to 23 is massive. And that's not just, and that's more winners than smashes, which means that they were finding winners without smashes. Generally, especially in the men's, many of the winners come from smashes. So you'll have a number of smashes and then usually a lower number of winners.
Exactly.
Because they can't convert all the smashes to winners, and it's more difficult to get a winner without a smash, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, of course.
But seeing here that we've got 41 winners and 30 smashes, that meaning that they were finding loads of space and angles and winners without having to smash, which is something that just, it informs again how much more superior Stupa and Lebron were over Tolito and Gonza.
And they took it, and yeah, that was the feeling. I mean, really, at the same time, we go back to the runtime of the games as well, guys. Like it was like a quick game. They wanted to speed run Cancun essentially and just see how fast they can do it. And it's like they're playing their own mini game, but yeah, I don't know. That's something you guys can let us know as well. What were your expectations of Tolito and Gonza?
Yeah, and how did you guys see that the Stupa Lebron? Take the politics out of it, regardless of should they be there, should they not, like in terms of pure paddle, what does that level difference look like? What does that level difference mean, for the sport, and how much better these players are than the rest? I mean, in terms of the main differences, what did you, in terms of like Stupa Lebron, not only in the final, just like in general, the entire tournament, what did you see them, what you were like, well, these guys clearly do this, and this way better than any other. I think this is what sets them apart. Probably
the unforced errors maybe is like where they're it's just consistency. Maybe not unforced errors, but the fact that their level of playing more successful shots, it doesn't matter what type of shot it is, is probably guaranteed a little bit more to win them a point. And I think that's where it is. So it's like they didn't do anything that special in my opinion. Like there was no moments where I was like, wow, they went above their
they were just playing paddle. They were playing good paddle.
They're at that like base level, you know what I mean? Like I was curious to bring it up, but not to flip it back to Gonza and Tolito, but looking at the rest of the calendar, if they're going to be competing in Premier Padel, looking at P1s and Majors, I'm curious what their road's going to look like when they are up against much higher ranking players. I do want to touch on the amount of ranking points that both Tolito and Gonza have gone up by, because I think that's gonna give us a little bit more perspective of when they're playing in P1s and Majors, right? Like where are these numbers here? Tolito went from, this is just from this tournament, by the way. This isn't including
this is taking into account that Gijon already, because they were finalists, already bumped them up
and
massively.
I can't stress enough. Maybe it's you're similar to me as well, but like these jumps that these guys are making up the ranking boards are like obscene.
It's massive. It's insane.
It feels like they're hacking Premier Padel a little bit by playing in these tournaments. But if we just focus on this tournament, Gonza, Tolito was ranked 53 at the beginning of the tournament, and he's now ranked 40. He jumped up 13 spots, which is just insane.
Not even winning just for a final is
now
massive.
he's ranked 40 in the world now after playing two tournaments. If you think about it,
I think he went from like 80 something.
Yeah, he was in the 80s, I think, something like
40 positions.
I think Gonza's jump was a little bit more impressive though, because at the beginning of this tournament he was ranked 47, and then he ended up moving to rank 35.
12 spots.
So 12 spots on that, which is incredible to see. And so that's why I proposed that question, is like, what does their road to a P1 look like, or to a major?
I think this, like, it's great for them to gain points, and it's the same with other pairings. I don't know, like Cabeza, Garcia, the Swedes, everyone's Medina, who we have to touch on as well. It's great to, like, this is why they play. This is their the whole point of this sport, of their career, is that they can get better and grow and get into bigger tournaments and play against better players. But like, I think at some point it becomes detrimental. No?
Yes.
Because like, if you're bumping up these positions, not because you're playing incredible paddle, you are in a way, but that's not the reason you're gaining all these points.
No.
This isn't just for Tolito and Gonza. This is for any other,
Oh my God! If you're one of these players that are taking part in the boycott, and you're seeing these players jump around you, and now Tolito's just whoever's ranked 39, for example, and they've got Tolito breathing down their neck a little bit. That's gonna, for lack of a better word, like rub me the wrong way. Like
now they should be part of the boycott.
Yes,
Tolito and Gonza, they're within. I mean, they're top 50 now. They're literally top 50.
It's crazy, man.
And so how does that affect them? Like in terms of draws, in terms of ranking, like it's good to be up, but it comes to a point where
I think the consequences for them now, especially, I unfortunately I don't think we're going to see much of them when the rest of the players are going to be playing, because definitely where they've positioned themselves now is they're going to go up against a bunch of tough games, like a lot of tough games, and that's just to get into like round 16. You know, I'm not even talking about quarters, semis. It's just like these guys are going to be absolutely knackered after they have to play like 3 or 4 more games. There's no double bye rounds for them, which is what they experienced in both in Gijón and in Cancun as well.
A lot more tired.
It's gonna be such a challenge for them as well, which I'm excited to see how they take it on. And if they want to enjoy the benefits of playing in the last 2 tournaments, that's great. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tricky road for them ahead, and unless obviously the boycott stuff continues and P2s come around, but I think we have a little bit of a break from all of this stuff now because we're going into Miami and then Santiago. So it's it's going to be interesting for them, and hats off to them as well because they're great players. But yeah, I wonder if they're a bit worried what the rest of the season is going to look like for them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. Like it's incredible, and
Before we move on to our next point, though, I just wanted to touch on, just to solidify these main differences between Stupa Lebron and the rest in this tournament. Like, it's not only unforced errors, in my opinion, but it's also it's agility, physicality. Yeah. Physically they're a lot more superior. You can tell they're a lot more efficient in their movements because they've got the top physios, the top physical trainers that
you're talking about Stupa Lebron.
Yeah, they've got a lot more experience, and then it's just like paddle IQ, just pure paddle IQ. Oh my god,
yeah, they're dialed in.
The way they place shots, Stupa rulos were he always does them, but in the final he did quite a few where they were just inch perfect, and they just bounce off the mesh, bounce at the at the back wall, unreturnable. Yeah. It's just there's a lot of components. But yeah, the unforced errors is also one of the main ones, and it's the one that that is most obvious because you can just visually see all of a sudden a player will just net a ball, and you're just a bit surprised because you're used to seeing all the other guys generally, and they never miss. Yeah. They never miss. They really rarely miss.
You watch Stupa Lebron take on Coquinieto and Mike Yanguas, and you see the levels of unforced errors in that. It's crazy. That's what they rely on, though, to that's what makes the game so close when you literally put the top pairings together, right? And it's just...
And paddle, that's what paddle is all about, in my opinion. One of the main things is... What's something that they've taught me as well at an amateur level is just don't miss. Just get it in.
Just hit it back over the
Just get
it
in. If you don't have to risk it necessarily.
Yeah.
These balls, they can be, but just play safe, but just get it in.
Yeah. I mean, that's something interesting as well. If we want to flip back to Tolito and Gonza as well on their play style, and everyone, we're going back to the magic, which everyone loves, right?
Yeah.
But what about this? Here, maybe this isn't a hot take necessarily, but when they have to pull the magic out and do these unorthodox shots, should they really be doing them if you want to go back to, unforced errors and having a consistent return and putting themselves in positions where they have to play it off the glass like that on the side or do a little behind the back scoop? It's you guys are in the finals of a Premier Padel tournament and you're pulling out, trick shots.
I think it's not that they want to, I think they want to give the people a show,
you
definitely,
think they like that?
But I think it's also it's part of how they play.
Yeah.
This is how they've learned to play.
Yeah.
This is kind of like NBA. If you look at NBA, if you look at European basketball, it's a lot less flashy and showy than American basketball. In the NBA, they'll be up alone against the hoop, and they'll do a triple spin, backward smash. I don't know about basketball. I don't know how you call that, but you know what I mean.
I can tell you don't watch it.
but you know what I mean. Or an alley oop, or it's unnecessary just to.
It's the flair for the hype of the crowd.
For the hype of the crowd, because they know how to play the crowd as well. And I think that's part of their brand as well. Los Mágicos, that's what they're called, the magicians.
Magicians, yeah.
So, it's part of who they are. They have to do it. But also, I think it's just it's what comes natural to them, genuinely.
Yeah.
It's not, and sometimes magic is a good resource. Playing against the side wall, which Gonza loves to do.
So much power on that as well.
Yeah, and he gets them in. And he doesn't miss those. And it just disorientates the...
You're not expecting the ball
it's more risky, but that's just how he plays, I think. So
we leave the magicians to what they do best, right?
Yeah.
And we'll take it from there. But they obviously went to the finals and they couldn't win. They went against the Wolf of Wall Street, which also, not to drag on LeBron too much, but this is a competition where, not that they weren't humble. I think they were very respectful. Like they weren't like, you know, rubbing it in their faces. But yeah, there were moments where you can hear the fans like go like, woo, cheering, you know, the wolf cries and everything like that. And I'm just like
crickets.
Dude,
After that,
it's just like, come on, guys. Guys. What are you doing? You're playing against people that are like genuinely lower than half your rank.
17-year-olds that are like 150 in the world.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly. So yeah. But, you know, that was the final of Cancun. Obviously, you know, a bit more of an unorthodox tournament. Yeah. But I think we have some notable mentions as well.
Yeah, before we move on to the women's.
Yes. So some notable mentions that we wanted to pick up on. I think just because we're, you know, not just a London-based podcast, but a UK-based one.
Yeah.
We have to give a big shout out to Christian Medina.
The man.
To make a little bit of history, to see a British geezer make it to the quarterfinals of a Premier Padel tournament.
For the first time in history.
Which is very, very cool. And I think it's great because obviously he's ranked number 1 in the UK. Mm-hmm. And to see him go through the stages and actually like represent the UK and play, you know, he's playing with a great partner as well.
He's an amazing player. I really like his style.
Yeah,
so.
You know, they and to make it to, you know, obviously they got knocked out by Moragas and Sintes, you know, but it was a 3-set game as well. You know, I think they took the first set, 6-4, and then they lost the second and third set, 2-6 and 3-6. Yeah. So, you know, even Medina as well, you know, I'm sure he enjoyed the benefits of playing in this tournament because, you know, he also went up about, 10 ranking points as well.
Yeah, he was 100 and...
He was probably like 119.
He went from 109.
No, he's at 109 now.
He's at 109 now, yeah, so he was 119, I think, yeah, so he went up 10 spots.
Which is incredible, I think. It's a huge jump for him, man.
Yeah, or is he? I think he might be 101.
Maybe.
Right now.
I think he's bubbling around the top 100.
But he's getting really close. So shout out to Christian. Well done, mate. Yeah. Congratulations on that. If you ever want to come on the pod, please do. We'd love to have you here.
Yeah, we'd love to showcase a little bit more of the British talent out here. Some people have no idea where we're based because we sound like we're from Oregon or something like that. I don't know.
Or New Zealand.
No. South Africa or something like that. But we are actually based in London. So, you know, integrating into like the UK paddle scene on a competitive level is something that's a goal of ours for 2025.
Exactly.
And you know, we're rooting for you guys when we see you play in competitions like this. Obviously, I think there's a FIP Gold in Bristol happening as well. So
very
if
soon.
You guys are interested, if any of you UK followers are interested in looking at more of the British player base,
a lot of good talent, and you can learn a lot as an amateur player. Like,
oh my God,
like myself, you can learn a lot from watching these FIPs.
Exactly. And there's it's not just about Premier Padel. If you guys are sick and tired of the boycott drama and everything like that, and you can go a little bit at, you know.
There's a lot of talent everywhere. So
So we just want to do a little shout out for Christian there. Absolutely. And I think another shout out for us that we want to do is
your boys.
The Swedish, the Vikings.
Yeah.
Vasquez and Axelsen.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I just think seeing a guy that's 6'6" on the paddle court is just like an absolute specimen to watch.
Dude, you see like when you see like I don't know, like Galan Coelho versus Chingoto, who's like a much smaller, you're like, oh, okay. You know, you can see Galan's a big guy and that this guy is, and Chingoto's smaller, but Axelsen is an absolute beast. He's what, like 6'6"?
He's 6'6", yeah, dude. He's like almost 2 meters. You know what I mean?
That's
like
crazy. Yeah.
And I think if it wasn't down for the fact that it was windy in Cancun, which I know sounds lame, but I guess that's like the outcome of doing a tournament outside. You have to like adapt to these certain conditions. I think a lot of people obviously would rather love Vasquez, his teammate, who's, you know, not short by any means, but next to him, he's much smaller, right? And I think the moment that you go for the lob for Axelsen, you just see this like hulk of a man like swinging down for a smash, and I think it's always just that excitement that sticks with me. And they did so well. They got to the semifinals, I think.
Yeah, semis.
Who did they get knocked out by?
Aguirre, Tolito, and Gonza.
Yes, there you go. Which is, I think also just to touch on as well that Vasquez and Axelsen also took out the Gijón tournament winners last one, right? They took on Garcia.
Yeah, they did in the quarters.
And I think it's amazing just because maybe some people might relate to us on like a European time zone, but I saw a lot of support from the Swedish fans waking up at like 4:30 in the morning or 5 a.m.
Hell yeah.
to go and watch that match, and I think that's great. I think Axelsen's just like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like obsessed with like this giant.
No, but it is cool, and it's like, and it's interesting how someone with that height has to play paddle because he's obviously super dangerous on the aerial game high balls. But then his weakness is down below, right?
He's got to like fold over.
Yeah. He has to go down such a long distance to get those low balls. But still incredible player. Also, what the hell is he playing with in terms of his racket? He had like an hexagonal.
I think the brand's Stiga, Stiga. And
I've never seen a racket like that. It's so strange.
We'll flash it up here, but I don't know what the benefits are of having like all the corners of your racket like shaved off.
There's new paddle rackets and designs and whatever, if they're more like aerodynamic or whatever. It's the sport's growing, so like some companies are doing some amazing
I don't actually know
things.
where that company's based from. I don't know if it's Spanish or Swedish. I have no idea.
Stiga. Okay.
Yeah, Stiga, yeah. I've seen one person play with it in real life, and it just looks like they're playing with like a different type of sport racket basically. But yeah, he reps that basically, and he's just a fucking beast with it. But we can even touch on their ranking points that they did.
Yeah, because they did really well as well.
I think Vasquez went from 101 to 72, 29 spots, guys. Like that's a lot. Like
for a semifinal.
Yeah, for a ticket to semifinals. Like they really did put on a great show. And for Axelsen, he went from a rank 136 to what's 136 minus 11? Our maths are so bad.
No. I think he went from 136 to 111.
Okay.
Which is 25 spots.
Yes,
basically.
Thank you.
So now Vasquez, Axelsen. So Vasquez is number 1 Swedish player.
Yeah.
Windhall, the fame. We've seen him a lot in Premier Padel, especially last year. He's number 2.
Yes.
And then number 3, we've got Axelsen. So we've got 3 Swedish players now, sort of climbing up the ranks, which is really
huge.
cool to see.
I mean, it must be popping off in Sweden. I think the amount of courts that have gone up there in the last
they
years.
actually overshot a lot in Sweden. Yeah.
What do you mean?
I don't know if you know this. Like they built paddle was growing loads in Sweden. It's still growing loads, but I have no idea, but it's like population in Sweden is probably like 10 million total or something like that. And for 10 million people who, whatever percentage of the population plays paddle, they overshot the amount of paddle courts by so much.
That's
they
insane.
built in like little Swedish towns with 50,000, 100,000 people. They had like 4 different paddle clubs. So
I don't know why I know this off the top of my head, but I actually know the stat of how many Swedish people are playing paddle. Do you want to know?
Yes, please tell us.
700,000.
700,000.
700,000
There you go.
Swedes
That's a lot of people
are playing paddle in Sweden.
So
but
basically,
they built too many courts.
All the courts we have in the UK, most of them, not all of them, a lot of them are Swedish. Bought from Sweden, because the Swedes realized, all right, well, we've got way too many courts. This is financially, we're ruining ourselves.
Yeah.
Everyone
we
have
the
to
same
sell
idea.
this, so they had to sell loads of courts to other places in the world, like
Incredible.
the UK. Yeah.
That's so hilarious, actually. Well, there you go. Oh my God, you guys kind of outgrew your boots a little bit on that, but hey, you guys had 2 guys end up in the semifinals of a Premier Padel tournament, so I think you guys earn your stripes on that one. But we wanted to give shout outs to both Christian and Vasquez and Axelsen on that, and it's exciting, huh? Like it's exciting to see some other new players as well and go up against some more well-known players. I think that's the thing that I've been missing a lot when we're watching these P2 tournaments without the top 100 players. It's like there's no context to sort of grab onto, right? You're seeing like first impressions, right?
Yeah.
So I think and
it's really cool to see, like you see Gabeza and Garcia and Gijón. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's out of nowhere,
I was like living through them, man, because they're also super young as well, and they can handle it.
And now you've got these Swedes, and you're like, so there's also like positive things to take out from
there's always going to be a silver lining with this, and I'm sure this kind of almost means the world to a lot of these players that can get this far in this this competition. But just
to touch on the stats from the semis.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little
Vasquez and Axelsen versus Tolito and Gonza. We see it was an interesting game. 2 sets to love for Tolito and Gonza.
Right.
But again, something that, is quite interesting from like a stats point of view. We have 33 smashes from Aguirre Alfonso versus 16 Vasquez Axelsen.
Yes.
So that's like, quite like more than double, which is very good. And then we've got 33 winners. So 33 smashes and 33 winners from Aguirre Alfonso. And then 24 winners from Vasquez Axelsen. So basically, again, what this means is...
Break it down for us.
Vasquez Axelsen smashed 16 times, but they got 24 winners.
Right.
Same thing that happened, even though Tolito and Gonza won this game, they had the same issue in the final against Stupa and Lebron. They're losing, so they're getting more winners done to them.
Yes.
than smashes, which means that it's not all the winners come from smashes.
Yeah.
So they're getting beaten a lot on angles,
right,
and balls that might go down the middle that they can't get to. So it's interesting to think about. Maybe that's something they need to work on.
Yeah, it wasn't the slowest chord in the world, but yeah, you can definitely see a lot of players go for the fake smash, so that ball just dies in the back, basically.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's physicality or if that's like just a lack of covering the court or exactly what it is, but it's just a stat that I think is interesting to look at from that point of view. And then we've got 25 unforced errors from the Swedes and 19 from the Argentinians. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. And what are the break points like as well?
Break points. So we've got 3 out of 4 break points for Aguirre Alfonso.
Yeah.
And then 3 out of 0 for Vasquez and Axelson, basically.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay. That's like it wasn't like the most skewed thing. That was probably like one of my favorite games from the whole tournament. I think that was. It felt like the competitive level was both there. Like it didn't feel like this sort of like easy game that you could predict. And, obviously seeing like the Magicians go against like these tall Vikings. I don't know if they have a nickname or anything as a pairing, but they got to come in with some like Viking heritage or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's should we move on to the next segment?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's definitely. Let's do it.
How could we go on and not address the women's games over here, because I think that's really where the most entertaining stuff's at right now.
Absolutely.
Especially now. I mean, if we can run it through. I mean, look, Triay and Brea secured another win, their second win in 2025, which, for a new pairing that had a lot of excitement to come in blazing hot already. Ari Sanchez and Paula Josemaria are also ranked number 1, but they got knocked out super early, right? So in the perspective of Triay and Brea, to see that duo go down early on in the semis, I think it was easy pickings for them. Yeah. And obviously they went up against Ortega.
Interesting, though, they haven't, I think... No, they haven't yet. Triay and Brea haven't faced Sanchez and Josemaria yet, because it's number 1 and number 2 seeds. So in Riyadh, Triay Brea lost against González Fernández.
Yes.
So the final, which never happened, was Sanchez-Josemaria. Because it's number 1 and number 2 seeds,
yes,
they can only meet in the final.
Right.
And Sanchez and Josemaria have been knocked out by other pairs other than them in the final, because Cancun was Triay Brea against
Ortega and Araujo.
No, for Gijón. Sorry,
yeah,
Gijón.
I got you.
They played against, who did they play against?
It was Claudia.
It was Claudia and Bea. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And they beat that. So Bea and Claudia beat Sanchez and Josemaria in Gijón.
Yes.
And then in Cancun again, Ortega and Araujo eliminated Sanchez and Josemaria. So they haven't yet faced number 1 versus number 2. We haven't seen a classic Coelho Tapia Chingalan, but in women's.
This is something
year
that we're kind of waiting for, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think if I was Sanchez and Josemaria, they would be in the back of my minds a little bit, because they just look like such a powerhouse, really.
And they're playing really well. I mean, we kind of...
they played so well in the finals.
It wasn't like anything. It wasn't our prediction, but, we spoke about it in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
When they announced as a pair, we both were like, hey, watch out.
These guys are going to be deadly.
Yeah, and I really, really like that pairing.
Yeah, I think Geometry, I just saw Delphi Brea and was like, you are like the component to me where we can go and actually
a slightly
push
more
this.
Mature Claudia Fernandez with a bit more experience.
Yes.
A great forehand player. So absolutely,
less injury prone as well.
Yeah.
But it's we'll see Claudia and Bea in Miami. Hopefully, they're signed up for that. I think they missed out on Cancun just to be extra safe. Yeah. So hopefully, because I'm a big fan of them as well, we can
definitely. I mean, they have to. They're contractually obliged to play if you want, unless she's like injured. But
yeah, exactly.
But and a crazy, well, not crazy, but like interesting final again. We had no Sanchez Josemaria. We had Ortega Araujo getting to the finals.
I was a little bit more excited because when Ortega and Araujo knocked out Sanchez and Josemaria, and it wasn't like the easiest game to win, but they went with a lot of momentum in that. And I think this kind of just highlights like how competitive the women's scene is right now, because you know, to go into a final against Gemma and Delphi, knowing that you just knocked out the number 1 ranking, But what was the what was the final score? Can we pull up the stats?
Yeah, final score for the final
women's final, please.
Was
sorry guys, paddle intelligence is down, and we're like scrambling a little bit.
Sorry, finals. We're looking at it was 6-3, 6-1 to Triay and Brea. This is for the final. Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean to you guys? Look, like for especially from the perspective of Ortega and Arujo, like. Why? My question is like, where did they lose the game? Why did they find it easier to beat Sanchez and Josemaria? And why did they have such a tough time against Delphi and Gemma? Is it because
there's a lot of factors?
I think I don't necessarily think it was a bad game for them.
No.
I just think that Gemma and Delphi were on form there, and I think because
they're so hungry, man.
Yeah, they are hungry, and I think it goes back to what I said earlier: is that if you can knock out someone else can knock out Sanchez and Josemaria for them, and as you said, they'll literally only meet in the finals just because of that's how seeding pairs work, right?
Mm-hmm.
It makes them. It's like it's in their palm at that point, right? And they can't walk away from a loss from that, and I think maybe that's what gave them that extra momentum, but. They were just kind of unstoppable. And Gemma Triay is honestly, and I think she won MVP of the tournament.
Yeah. I think she's Sanchez-Josemaria, apart from those guys, personally, for me, I think Gemma Triay is the best female player. It's the best paddle player in the world.
I want to see them play. I want to see Sanchez and Josemaria take on Gemma Triay.
But no, it's interesting. I mean, I think it has to do a lot with also like, dude, sometimes it's just about a day you're having. It's very different to play a quarterfinal or a semifinal than a final.
Yeah.
Maybe you get to the final and all of a sudden the pressure's on and you just play a bit worse or a bit different. Even though you beat the number one seeds, maybe right at that game, Triay and Delphi can exploit your weaknesses a bit more. You know?
Exactly.
I think Araujo had a really good game. Marta Ortega maybe a bit less, and then as you said, Delphi and Triay were just on fire. Ortega Araujo went up 3 games to love in the first set. They ended up losing 6-3. Yeah, but they were 3-love up, which is crazy. And I thought that, after seeing them beat number one seeds, I thought, watch out for Ortega Araujo. They might come in hard, flip the switch here in the final. But no, it ended up being 2 sets. I mean,
crazy.
If we
let's run through the stats a little bit, and then
if we look at the stats, I mean, we've got 8 smashes, Ortega Araujo, to 11,
right?
Triay Brea, but then we've got 48 winners for Triay and Brea, and 28 for Ortega Araujo. We're talking about 20 winners more for Triay and Brea than for Ortega Araujo, which is massive. It's like...
Hit me with that stat again.
So, 28 winners from Ortega Araujo versus 48 by Triay and Brea.
Yeah, okay.
Difference of 20 points. 20 points is a lot of points that they just won on winners over them.
Yeah.
And then 16 unforced errors for Ortega Araujo to 11 Triay Brea. Again, not a massive difference, but it was the winners, basically. And I observed, kind of like similar to what we were saying about... Tolito and Gonza, again, we see this stat repeated, which is something quite interesting to analyze in this episode of today, I guess, is, again, we see 11 smashes from Triay and Brea, but 48 winners. So they're not getting winners off of smashes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's what, that's almost the nature of,
And also, we're looking at the ladies, so it is a bit different. But, I saw so many balls down the middle from Gemma or from Delphi.
Yeah.
And it felt like there was a lot of confusion between Ortega Araujo as to who should go get that.
Yes.
It was just balls that sort of died in the middle. And I felt like there was a lack of synergy and communication between them, which is a shame. Because it's such a shame to lose those points.
And to feel that pressure from them,
and they saw that, Triay and Brea, and they just exploited that weakness, really. Yeah.
And there you go. And then that's how you win it in 2 sets, right? And, Gemma Triay.
Yeah, and then we've got 5-0 break points from Ortega Araujo and 5 out of 11 from Triay Brea, which isn't amazing. It's still 5, but they had so many opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's that added pressure that really stresses the other duos out when you're not winning your service game. So yeah, I think that's the way it goes. I think the highlight for me now is just waiting for that tournament where Gemma Triay and Delphi Brea go up against
the number ones.
Against the number ones, right? Sanchez and Josemaria. I think that's really going to be, it's almost like they're prolonging it a little bit just for dramatic effect. But honestly, I think hopefully in Miami they cross paths. I think now is the time.
Absolutely.
I think they need to almost remind Triay and Delphi where they stand a little bit, and let's see where the ranking reflects.
Absolutely.
That game is probably going to be an absolute technical mastermind course if you think about it, like a masterclass. Sorry.
Yeah.
And that's just something I'm excited for Miami.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was. The finals of the women's, and we're talking about Miami a little bit. Is there anything that we have to cover?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to touch on, I guess, if you want to look at the stats from this semis when Ortega Araujo beat basically Sanchez and Josemaria.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on some stats from just to see, as well, because we saw Sanchez-Josemaria being taken out, or not early on, but like not reaching a final, which is a bit rare, when we saw Ortega Araujo beating them. So we've got 38 smashes from Ortega Araujo. I think Araujo played a really good tournament.
She's a beast. She's got that Ronaldo power in her back pocket, though.
Exactly.
I don't know if you guys saw it in Saudi. She was like, very chatty with Ronaldo. I think that's a super cool moment for the sport as well.
And she's got a really powerful smash on her as well. So 38 smashes, 41 winners for Ortega Araujo.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Like the amount of, we'll go into that later. 38 to 41 for Sanchez-Josemaria, 29 smashes to 30 winners. Not bad at all. I mean, there's quite a big difference. 11 more winners for Ortega Araujo.
Yes.
And then look at these unforced errors. 59 unforced errors for Sanchez-Josemaria and 55 for Ortega Araujo. That's a lot of unforced errors. I mean, it is a long game. It's 3 sets.
Yeah.
2-6, 6-4, 4-6. So,
damn. Do you think that's the pressure, though? I mean, it's unforced errors, but it's not even a forced error,
the thing
really.
The thing is they're both doing them as well. And it's just, even though it's a lot from both of them, it's just a difference of 4 extra unforced errors from Sanchez and Josemaria, which is rare to see them do that.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I think both teams were in a bit of a
maybe it wasn't on their day. I don't know what it is, but
and as we've said before, it feels like even though they're absolute beasts, Sanchez and Josemaria they just have like that one bad day.
Yeah,
where it takes them a bit to like sort of get into it. Right?
Yeah,
it takes a bit of them.
I mean, yeah, that's something that you feel. I felt just maybe I won't deep dive into like all the games I've ever watched, but I do notice that they do take a minute to warm up, and I think once they have that opportunity, the opponents have that opportunity to take them on their first set, which is what Ortega and Araujo ended up doing.
And then they sort of they get into the second set, they win it, and then it's up to the third set.
It's like they need to like put a bit of risk on the table for them to be like, all right, let's switch on now. Which it sounds scary because you want them just to, obviously if you're their coach or whatever, you want them just to play the game and play their best and win. But it seems like they need that element of stress almost to switch things on together, and that's when they come in full swing. Which they did in this game, right? Like they got the second set and everything. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a tough one for them, but I think they'll learn from this, and maybe their minds are already in Miami because it's literally happening right now. But yeah, now all I want to see is just that amazing setup of Gemma Triay, Delphi Brea versus Sanchez and Josemaria, and I think that's probably one of the most
number 2
anticipated games, and hopefully we see it in Miami. So,
hopefully. Yeah.
I don't know, and that. Yeah. You go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, guys, like it's now that we've got like this boycott on the men's side and whatever, we've had like a couple tournaments where it's actually been way more exciting to watch the women's
100%
and way more competitive, and it just goes to show, even with this tournament, how like it's a lot more exciting. You've got all of a sudden you've got the number 1 seeds knocked out, and then it's a different final. And then we've got like different finals every single tournament, which is rare to see.
Yes.
And, I just think it's, we've always, championed the ladies, and we always talk about them and stuff. But, I think it's important, and I think it's a good thing, to talk about, and to be like, go and like watch them, support them, because they're
Literally.
incredible players. You can learn a lot from them actually. And I know that we love seeing Coelho smash it and jump smash and all the magic, but the women's paddle scene is super exciting and amazing to watch.
And I'll tell you this now: if the competitive landscape was kind of similar to that in the men's, we would all be losing our mind. Like we would every weekend we would be tuning in and be like, I have no idea what's happening. And I think that's something that we should carry on for the women's, because I think, as Hugh said, that's something that we should have learned, or maybe we appreciate it a little bit more watching it and breathing, being like, okay, I know these people, we know their games, we know their play styles. Let's see if they can actually bring their A game to this tournament, instead of watching some players that we've never seen before, maybe, which is we said that's a great silver lining with it in its own. But at the same time, we have a tournament coming back where it's everyone that we know, all the familiar faces. And I don't think I could be more excited for that, because it's like we can breathe now, dude. After two tournaments, that's almost a month of this boycott drama. Obviously, we stand with the players, man.
Yeah, no, we do. But at the same time, as fans, we're like,
let's just watch the games.
Can we please just see like Chingalan, Stupa Lebron,
Yanguas,
Nieto,
exactly,
Asburger, Cardona, please.
Exactly. Like, I think I just can't wait, man. And that makes me feel good. We're back in our happy place. We know these guys, and the competitive levels there. I hope they've been training and they haven't.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, what are your expectations? What do you think is gonna happen? Like, what's the vibe for Miami P1?
Hopefully these guys haven't been, getting drunk at Rob Waite's reserve
Mackies.
paddle. Yeah, exactly. Like just chilling out, sitting by the pool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they've all been training hard.
You saw that Yanguas training video I sent you.
No, I didn't actually.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yeah. You responded. It's the one where he is training his.
I just got exposed.
Where he's training his backhand volley.
Oh,
in Miami.
The slide, where he's just absolutely like killing each ball, like at the back.
He does like 20 or 25 in a row. Oh my god, so satisfying.
Yeah, he's a beast. Man.
But they're training hard, and they know that Miami's going to be tough.
I mean, that's a big thing, guys.
And I think they're all probably going crazy. They're like shaking, just wanting to play paddle. Like, this is like their life.
I think also they have that importance, as this is probably this is one of the first attempts of breaking through to the US audience here, and I think that is something that probably a lot of the players they have to be excited about. That I think
absolutely
this is their opportunity to create a fan base out in the US, to get a bit of notoriety, to create a bit of like a name for themselves, and hopefully they'll know more players than just Coelho, and they all call him Coelho out there,
Coelho.
dude, which
Coelho
blows my mind a little bit.
Coelho with the kick smash.
Yeah, we have to deal with the American tendencies a little bit. Yeah, Coelho with the kick smash. It's like literally there, dude. It's like none of the right shots, but they'll learn. We're learning as well. So,
exactly. Playing at home for the first time for him, Coelho.
Whatever that
his
means,
new home.
dude. Yeah. I hate this thing though. It's like he's playing at it for home. It's like, dude. Guys, what the hell? This guy's
been living there for like 3 months.
You know what I mean? Yeah, literally, dude.
His homeland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not like he's there with like a big belt buckle, a cowboy hat, and like a cigar in his mouth, being like, yeehaw! Like, there we go. But like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of expectations for Miami. I'm excited.
Are we thinking? I mean,
I want to see Coelho Tapia in the final, please.
You want to see Coelho Tapia in the final? I mean, the thing is, if we're just let's do just some like quick predictions, what we think is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it will be interesting because we'll obviously do an episode next week on after the tournament. So let's do finalists, winner prediction, and like who do you think is going to surprise what pairing?
I feel a bit phony choosing Coelho Tapia then, because obviously it's
to be honest, that's who I think is going to win.
Yeah, I want to see them. I want to see them in the final. I just want the boys back a little bit, and just to see some crazy plays. Who are they going to play against? I'd be okay if it wasn't Chingalan, I'll be honest. Like, if someone else
I wouldn't. I just want to see. I think the thing is, there's no point in predicting Koki Yanguas in the final trying to be different, because we all know that Coelho and Tapia are going to get to the final at least.
Yeah.
And that they're most likely going to win the tournament.
Yeah,
I think
at home?
it could be otherwise, very possible, but it's highly likely that they will win. So I think Coelho Tapia winning, Coelho Tapia Chingalan final. I'd love to see that. just to get the two number 1 and number 2s back head to head. See if Chingalan have changed their game.
Let them set the bar almost. You know what I mean? Because we got it in back in Riyadh, but let's see it now. New landscape, new audience.
We didn't get it in Riyadh. We got a Stupa Lebron versus Cuello Tapia in Riyadh.
You're right.
They Chingalan lost in quarterfinals against Burger Cardona.
Oh yeah, and then that's when everyone was like, they're gonna be gone by the end of the season, dude, and everyone jumped on that train.
Well, that's when we said that. That's when I said that he's gonna sack Chingo and he's gonna call Cardona immediately.
Dude, for real.
Yeah,
you'll see when Galan's overcompensating when he gets Axelson to play, because it's just like the height difference would be crazy. But yeah, I'll take a Chingalan final, but I'm okay without it. I'd like to see Lebrón and Stupa get dogged on a little bit and have a hard time on their road to the finals if they can get there, or to the semis.
Okay.
Just a little bit of playful aggression from some of the other players, maybe. I know maybe from Garrido and Dineno. I know Dineno's one of the head guys from the PPA, so I'm bringing back the boycott drama a little bit, but just a little playful push maybe for these guys. And
I want to see Koki Yangwas shine.
Yeah,
I think I love that pairing. I love them so much. We'll see, but I'd like them to, maybe they can surprise at some semis.
Man, I think
it'll be
Cuello Tapia, Tolito Gonza, man. I think that's they're gonna go all the way.
Fair. Tolito and Gonza are they in the P1?
They better be, man. Are you kidding me?
I think they have to be, no?
Of course.
Probably.
Man. The Premier Padel snipers finding their next target a little bit.
They will be, and we'll see. I mean, that will be
that's
the
another
test.
Interest of mine, to see how far Tolito and Gonza get on this one. I think that will be an interesting thing to understand, because we can only really base
the
the
level actually.
Whereas when they played against Lebrón and Stupa, right? So if they can get far, round 16,
we'll see.
Hats off to them. Yeah. I'm kind of excited to see where they set themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you guys. I'm just excited for all the boys to be back.
That's it basically. The conclusion is that we just want to see top paddle back, seeing all those exciting games, all the pairs that we know their story, we know their play style, we can analyze it way better, we know the beefs, we know the characters. We want paddle to come back.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it. That's the sport, and we rely on the context of it, and I think that's obviously it's great seeing new players played against each other, but
we're ready for
this. We're ready for a little bit of normality. I think a little bit. So hopefully no more boy talk. Boycott talk for the what's boy talk?
I don't know what we're doing. This is boy talk, yeah.
And I don't know if that's something you guys are excited for. Or maybe some of you guys think this is a great refresh for paddle to see some tournaments without that. Maybe that's a conversation that we can have as its own segment, right? Should P2s just be lower ranked players, P1s and majors,
to make it a bit more different.
Yeah, should people care about playing majors more than others? You know what I mean? Because what makes it a major at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So, that's something that I'm interested in. But I don't know. We also want to hear your excitement as well. Are you guys excited for Miami?
Let us know, if you've got predictions down in the comments. We love reading you guys.
Do you think there's going to be any tacky American iconography that I feel like because it's a US tournament, they have to put their US stamp on.
I think this is what if it grows in the US. We've talked about this before, but I had the opportunity to go see an NBA game once.
Yes,
and that experience was just wild.
Was it actually?
Every 5 minutes, there were people jumping around. There's blasting music, cheerleaders, people with t-shirt cannons,
holy shit,
confetti. I'm just wondering, imagine every time there's a break and the players go to the benches, cheerleaders backflipping off the mesh, t-shirts, confetti, the players can barely hear their coaches.
There's a lot to be excited for.
We'll see. I wouldn't put it past them.
I think maybe a lot of the European audience might be like, "What the hell is going on?" But I don't know. It's their first tournament out in the US for Premier Padel. A lot to look forward to.
Bella is responsible for the organization and the smooth running of it, which is kind of nice.
Just specifically this tournament?
I think so. I'm not too sure.
Well,
maybe that's the direction he's going in now that he's retired.
True, yeah.
It could be.
I mean, so we'd like to think it's in good hands then, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
I think there's a lot to look forward to.
And they're playing in reserve. Reserve
with Rob Waite. But yeah. Hopefully they're all acclimatized now. Maybe the male players because they weren't playing in the tournament for the last few weeks. But I don't know. That's what we're excited for, guys. And I think we reached the end of the episode here a little bit.
And it'll be episode 10.
Yeah, we're hitting our.
This
our
is
10th
9.
episode.
We'll get to episode 10, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you guys to all of you for. If if whether you're new or you've been following us since the beginning or the middle, doesn't matter. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening, or watching. We really appreciate you guys. We appreciate all your comments.
Yes.
All your likes, all your supports, all your follows.
Keep it coming.
Keep it coming. Yeah, we love it. And we're loving, this is great. We really love doing this. So,
exactly.
Yeah, just a big thank you to you guys as well.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, after Miami. There we go. Another, a bit of a time zone bastard as well, but we got to do it because we love paddle, right?
It's not that bad. It's not that bad, I think.
It's a few hours.
But we'll
us
manage.
at 3 a.m. watching like a three hour long game. Like, can we go to bed now, please? Like, but yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much again for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Thank you.